Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into something fascinating, the natural resources of Bangladesh. And trust me, for this country, it's not just about wealth, it's about survival.
So, you gotta ask yourself, you've got one of the most jam-packed, densely populated countries on the entire planet. How in the world does it sustain itself? How does it all work?
Well, the answer is literally in the land itself. It's deep in the soil, flowing through its rivers and along its coastlines. The secret is this incredible natural wealth. But here's the catch. It's not just rich, it's also really fragile.
Okay, so before we jump in, let's get on the same page. What are we even talking about when we say natural resources? Super simple, it's all the stuff found in nature, not made by us, that we need to live and to build our economies. You know, things like air, water, soil, and the energy buried right under our feet.
All right, first up, let's talk about what keeps the lights on. We're diving into the energy resources that power the whole nation.
And wow, this really tells you everything you need to know. More than 60% of all electricity in Bangladesh comes from just one thing, natural gas. It's not just a big player, it's the undisputed king.
I mean, this stuff is literally the engine of the country. It fuels the factories, keeps our homes lit, and even powers the cars and buses on the street. Now, a lot of it is found in places like Sylhet. But, and this is a big but, there's a huge problem brewing. They're using it up way faster than they can pull it out of the ground. That means shortages, and it means they're having to buy expensive LNG, that's liquefied natural gas, from other countries.
So, you see, the country is standing at a major crossroads when it comes to energy. On one path, you've got the old guard, natural gas and coal. The infrastructure is all there, but they're running into shortages, and of course, pollution is a massive concern. Then on the other path, you've got the newcomers, solar and wind. The potential is huge, right? But getting there is tricky. It's expensive, and figuring out how to store that power is a real challenge.
So let's talk about that potential. Solar is the star of the show, no question. I mean, with almost 300 sunny days a year, it's a no-brainer. And it's not just an idea, it's already powering more than 6 million homes. Wind power has some decent potential, especially along the coast. But hydropower? Not so much. The country's just too flat, so you've only got one major hydropower plant to speak of.
Okay, so we've talked about what powers the nation. Now let's switch gears and look at what feeds the nation. And that's all about its incredible wealth from the land and the water.
Now, if you want to understand Bangladesh, you have to wrap your head around this one number, about 40%. That's the share of the entire workforce that depends on agriculture. It's not just a sector, it's the bedrock of millions and millions of lives. So, why is the land so crazy fertile? Well, it all comes down to geography. The country is basically one giant, incredibly productive delta. It's formed by three massive rivers, the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, and the Meghna. They're constantly dropping off this rich, amazing soil that's just perfect for growing everything from rice to jute.
But hey, it's not just what's growing on the land. Look at the water. When it comes to fishing in rivers and lakes, Bangladesh is an absolute powerhouse. We're talking number 3 in the entire world.
And this fish comes from everywhere. You know, the thousands of rivers and ponds, and of course the Bay of Bengal, which gives them that famous hilsa fish and tons of shrimp. Fish farming, or aquaculture, is also exploding to keep up. But, and you knew there was a but, this success story has a dark side. Things like overfishing and pollution are putting a huge strain on these fish populations.
All right, next up, let's move from the water to the woods and talk about the country's green shield, its forests.
And look, you can't even begin to talk about forests in Bangladesh without saying one word, Sundarbans. This isn't just a mangrove forest, it's the single largest one on the entire planet. It is an absolutely critical, one-of-a-kind ecosystem.
And the value of these forests? It's just immense. Yeah, sure, they provide things you can sell like timber and honey, but their real value, the priceless part, is in what they protect. They're like a natural shield against floods. They help regulate the climate, and they're a safe haven for so much wildlife, including, most famously, being the main home for the legendary Royal Bengal tiger.
So we've seen all this incredible natural abundance, right? But here's where the story takes a turn. All of this wealth is incredibly fragile, and it's facing a future under some really serious pressure.
And it's kind of like a dangerous domino effect. It often kicks off with something simple, overexploitation. You know, just taking too much, too fast, too many fish, too much water. Then you pile on pollution from cities and factories, and these problems just get worse because of poor management.
All the while, the root cause, a huge and growing population, is just cranking up the demand for everything. And these aren't just abstract ideas. These threats have real, serious consequences. Pollution isn't some academic term. It's arsenic in the water that people have to drink. Overexploitation means a family has less fish to put on the table. And poor management? That looks like entire forests being wiped out in places like the Chittagong Hill Tracts.
So at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one massive question. This is the central challenge for the country's entire future. How do you balance the desperate need for economic growth with the absolute necessity of protecting these natural treasures? The answer to that question is going to define everything. Thanks for tuning in.